Evans, somewhere in North America, I'm presuming, is another international man of football, Juan G. Arango. He holds down the Latin side of things. He's our expert on those matters in those parts. And it is my pleasure to be sharing the stage, a studio, with the ex-Reggae Boys captain, now playing for Portmore United, not because he has to, but because he wants to give back to the club that sent him on his professional journey. He wants to help the youngsters. I'm talking about Rudolph Austin. So it's quite in order for me to just go around the shop, get opening comments from you gentlemen. I think the first thing to do is, the obvious thing to do is to talk to Simon about the atmosphere that's building inside one of the most famous cathedrals, not just for football, but for sport of any kind in the world. Simon, how is Anfield feeling at this time?
To one of those Anfield nights outside the ground. The team buses arrive and the fans congregate around there. The flares going off, the atmosphere building up. Fans starting to come into the stadium now. They're coming late here. Outside, but beer, have some food. It's starting to warm up. As always, the Villarreal, the away section, in here early and singing. It's a section entirely in yellow over there, so they're looking forward to enjoying what they hope will be a big surprise tonight.
Simon, they always associate Manchester with rain and parts of London. You are in Liverpool. Is there any possibility of rain in this game? And what's the temperature like?
The temperature is always a little bit colder here than over in Manchester, because we've got the sea and the River Mersey, and it pours in off the Irish Sea, and it's pretty cold. Usually in the press box, it's one of the coldest places in the stadium, I think. But you can see on those images there how the atmosphere outside. The sun is shining actually outside the ground, so it's a really nice evening for football, and it should be a very interesting game.
Lastly, Simon, in this segment, approximately how many Villarreal supporters would you estimate are in the stadium already?
Yeah, I think probably there'll be about 3,000 in there. Stadium actually was playing Yellow Submarine not just before the old Beatles song, so giving them a little welcome in that respect. But the away fans at Anfield, they always rise to the occasion. The last game here, Benfica, they went out, their fans stayed for half an hour singing. The team had to come back out. It creates that kind of magic atmosphere here.
Absolutely so. And for those who don't know, you heard Simon talk about the Yellow Submarine song being played over the loudspeaker. Yes, it's a Beatles song. Why is it important? Because, of course, the Beatles are from Liverpool in England, and Yellow Submarine, the nickname of Villarreal. So it's quite a relationship there between the legendary Liverpool band and the nickname of this good, very, very good Spanish team. Juan G. Arango, 7-course meal on Tuesday. You greedy boy, you got 7 goals in a fantastic game, although the purists will say the defending was rather dodgy on both sides.
Yeah, but it's kind of hard to be able to defend the players that you had right in front of you. I mean, you have a player that's probably going to end up being, or he is a candidate to be, the Ballon d'Or in Karim Benzema. Some people are calling him now Karim d'Or, as far as his performance overall. I mean, but all just aside, I mean, we're dealing with one of the best players in football, if not the best player in the world in actuality, to be quite honest with you. And it's very hard. I mean, the greatest thing about that 4-3 match wasn't the fact that people are talking about Manchester City and how they played. They played amazingly. But it's the fact that Real Madrid, with 10 men, were able to still keep this tie alive, and people are talking more about them and Karim Benzema than they have about Manchester City. Again, it shows you how amazing that match was in terms of the overall functioning of both teams. Yes, did they have defensive failures? Yes, they did. But overall, you have to start giving a lot of praise to the offensive end as well, and how they were able to execute their respective games.
Yeah, Rudolph, great game yesterday. And as a footballer yourself, a man who has played at a top level in several countries, you would have been pleased by the technical quality on show and the fact that collectively the players on the park could put on such a display for the watching world.
Yes, definitely. It was an amazing game. City came out flying, and you could see what they wanted to do from the get-go. They wanted to keep Real Madrid in their half by pressing them high, and they got their reward, you know, Kevin De Bruyne with a great goal, and they set the atmosphere from there, and it was a brilliant game going forward.
Yeah. As a man who's a specialist defensive midfielder yourself, what did you make of Fernandinho's entanglement with Vinicius Jr. when the dummy left the Brazilian on the half line and sent the other Brazilian racing through to score?
Well, it was the oldest trick in the book.
Yeah.
You know, you go for the ball and then you dummy it and stuff. But you know, things like that happen in football. You know, I didn't think Fernandinho wanted to give him the space so he could turn and go at him. He wanted to get close to him, but eventually it happened the way it happened, and he got away from him and scored. But you know, things like this happen in football, and you just have to keep going.
Absolutely so. All right, gentlemen, we can talk about today now, because Simon Evans, I hope you're still hearing us, Simon, because I'm certain it's going to get raucous inside Anfield not too long from now. You've had this assignment before, Simon, Anfield on a European night. Does today fit in with the narrative of previous visits? Is there something extra about today, or is it perhaps muted in some respects?
I think it's slightly muted in one respect, in that Liverpool are viewed, certainly in this country, as heavy favourites for this match. And I think if you look at the Champions League pedigree of the teams over the last few years, you can understand why. But on the other hand, Unai Emery is a specialist in cup competitions. He had an incredible record with Seville. He did well in cup competitions with Paris Saint-Germain. He's done it again with Villarreal over the last couple of seasons. So they're up against a team who are very tricky opponents. But it's not going to be that kind of night like we saw a couple of years ago with Barcelona. Liverpool are going to have a lot of the ball, and they're going to be trying to break down opponents. And that's something they're used to in the Premier League, of course. But Villarreal are excellent on the counter-attack. And so it's going to be perhaps a little bit more of a tactical game than what we saw last night.
Juanji, the view from Spain, the view through the eyes of the Spanish press, of which you're a part, and the Spanish media, do they view the giant-killing acts of Villarreal against Bayern Munich and against Juventus as the team having reached peak giant-killing, or is there the feeling within Spain that there can be a third scalp added to that list of giants slain by the Yellow Submarine?
Can it be? Yeah, it can be. Now, will it be? I don't know. And I think that's more the sentiment that's being seen, because you see Liverpool, and it's a team that overall right now is at another level. And to be quite honest, and I hope I'm not jinxing them, they're probably the favorites to win this tournament, to be quite honest with you, as far as how they've been able to play in every single line. You have the bench that is probably one of the deepest, and a team that overall has been performing very well. But Unai Emery said yesterday, yeah, we might not be the favorites. We might not be the team that everybody thinks could beat Liverpool, but we're going to go out there and compete. We're missing players too. I mean, you see that Rodrigo Moreno's missing. Then you also see that Jeremy Pino's also missing. So two very important key components for the counterattack for Villarreal are also missing for this match. So again, for them, it's going to be a tough task, but they know, and they've faced European teams of the caliber of Liverpool and have been able to come through. Now, have they been able to play against a team as good as Liverpool this season? No, they haven't. That'll be the big mission, and they're going to have to try and stop a lot of players and a lot of options in front of them.
Excellent, gentlemen. We're going to get deep. We're going to dive deep into the tactics and the formations and the individual players. Really appreciate the fact that those general comments stayed general. The fact is, Rudolph, before we go to our man at Kingston Jerk, Rudolph, the thing I struggle with, and of course I wouldn't know because I've never been a top player. You've been a top player, so you know the impact of the atmosphere. I mean, these Villarreal players, they've been in big arenas before, Rudolph. They've played big games before. They have heard raucous, noisy crowds before. But there's just something that makes a player incapable of getting used to the pressure from the crowd. And so if they go into an arena and the crowd is vociferous enough, it affects them. What is it that prevents a player's experience in a tough situation, a tough environment, from carrying them through? And I ask that because some of the Villarreal players saying that the Anfield crowd could get to them.
Yes, definitely. It plays a big part, you know. That's why it's so important to get the fans going and create for
the home team.
For the home team and create that atmosphere, that fearful place, you know. And it also get the home team, more energy and more rile up to go forward, So looking in that situation, it can be a tough place to go for the Villarreal players, and just hope Liverpool can get the energy from the fans and push on to maybe win this game.
Yes, indeed. Gerard Mosili is our roving reporter today. He is at Kingston Jerk, where he's holding it down on that end. Gerard, talk to me about expectation. I'm sure you'd have spoken off camera to a couple of the patrons there about their feeling about today's game. What can you reflect?
Yeah, thank you, George. Of course, I'm here at Kingston Jerk. I did get the opportunity to speak to a couple of the fans. I also saw a couple of supporters from Liverpool. Of course, not very many of those fans are cheering on Villarreal, but I do have someone though who is a fan of Villarreal. But the ambiance is nice up here. People are coming in and out. Of course, they're coming to pick up their lunch, get whatever they want. Of course, the bar is active. So we are waiting for the rest of our patrons to join us here at Kingston Jerk on Chelsea Avenue in New Kingston to be a part of the vibrance that's here and enjoy some good football. I'm going to talk to someone right now who is at the bar celebrating. He's already branded in his SportsMax hat. Let me ask you first, what's your name? Introduce yourself to the people.
Hello, good afternoon, I'm Steven.
Yeah, so Steven, let me ask you quickly. While I heard you make a statement earlier on, could you let the viewers know what that statement was?
Okay, I'm bringing Villarreal to win 2-1.
No, 2 now, because you said 3 earlier.
2-1 now. 2-1 now.
Alright, so what are some of the key proponents for Villarreal to win this game?
Because Villarreal is a very strong back line and them attacking well as possible.
Yeah, so on the Liverpool side now, do you think they have what it takes though to carry them to the edge?
Yes, Liverpool has what it takes, yes, but it's Villarreal straight ahead, right, show.
Yeah, so what is the reason behind you supporting Villarreal?
Because it's a Spanish club, and on my side is Real Madrid, straight.
Oh, okay, so yesterday, I know you were not too happy with the performance, were you?
No, I'm not too happy, but it's still, Man City is also my side as well, but I'm happy with the result because City and Real Madrid is all my side, so it's okay.
Alright, so I'm going to ask you a question, give you the opportunity to win something, because at SportsMax we do like to do giveaways to our viewers, our fans. So today, Villarreal, the team who you are supporting, they are actually coming up against an English club in Liverpool. They did so last time that they played in the semi-finals of the UEFA Champions League in 2006. Do you know the team that they played against?
Yes, Arsenal.
Arsenal, that is correct. So I'm going to ask one of the promotion ladies who is here with me. Of course, you would have won something from SportsMax, and here it is, your own Heineken, our sponsor, who would have given this lovely crate to us, and I hope you enjoy it and enjoy some good football here at Kingston Jerk as well. Alright, so congratulations. Alright, so that's it. Of course, I'm encouraging each and every one, if you are in the vicinity, even if you're not in the vicinity, just come on down to Kingston Jerk here on Chelsea Avenue in New Kingston. We can enjoy the football together. We can't wait until kickoff. It's going to be a great vibe, good ambience. It's all about here at Kingston Jerk. Back to you, George.
Well, Kit, and yeah, there are going to be very many Villarreal supporters today, because the Villarreal bandwagon has Man United fans, Man City fans, Everton fans, Chelsea fans, and all the like, because they don't want Liverpool to win. So Villarreal will have plenty of supporters today. Gentlemen, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we dive in to the key actors, the men who are likely to be the key actors in today's game, and to look at the path to victory, to the first leg advantage for both teams.
Searching for a place to escape it all? Say no more. We've got luxurious accommodations, the best views for a one-of-a-kind experience, and the locals aren't too bad either. It's a whole vibe, and SportsMax got you covered all season. Don't miss any of the action.
Oh my goodness!
Enjoy exclusive access.
Here's Curry for the record. It's good!
Only here on your home of champions.
fear you're missing out? Don't miss another event with SportsMax. Enjoy full live content on our YouTube channel. Keep up to date with all things sports. Rewatch highlights of your favorite zone moments. Join our community and share in the passion of sports viewers everywhere. Like, comment, share, and subscribe to the SportsMax YouTube channel today.
Yeah, so 6-0 you see on the graphic board, not the score in this game or the score prediction and the tie. The fact that is that Liverpool have won Europe's premier club competition on 6 occasions. Villarreal have never won it, and they only have a Europa League in their cabinet, which of course they won last season when conquering Manchester United. But they have been to this stage before, Villarreal, in the semi-finals of the UEFA Champions League. And yeah, I remember it very well. I was in my final year in university, and my player at that time was Juan Roman Riquelme, and yeah, he couldn't take Villarreal to the promised land. The Villarreal team, which also included the outstanding Marco Senna, and Diego Forlan was also in that team. But this is Alexander Kleb, the Belarusian, centering the ball, and who would pop up to score for the Gunners? It's Kolo Toure. Yeah, Kolo Toure getting the job done there. And yeah, young Cesc Fabregas, Matteo Flamini, and several others, a vintage Arsenal team. The Gunners fans would know those players very well, and they conquered Villarreal en route to the final that year, where they lost to Barcelona. Let's hear from the Liverpool maestro, Jurgen Klopp.
This is absolutely special to be part of the semi-final. It's crazy, really. It's a massive game, and if you so many coaches, so many players out there try and work their socks off their whole life and have no chance to be close of a semi-final, and we are there, so we have to cherish it. We have to appreciate it, of course, but we have to enjoy it as well. And then yes, we face a very, very difficult opponent. That's true. They are made for this competition, to be 100% honest, because the way they set it up, it's really, really good. I think there might have been a little advantage in the last 2 games that might Juve or maybe Bayern underestimated them, but that never happened to us, these kind of things, and especially after these 4 games, there's no chance anymore. So this little advantage might have gone, but apart from that, they are still a really good football team who is obviously wants to make history as well. First time, I think it would be the first time that they would be part of the final, which is a massive thing for Villarreal, I can imagine. So, but it is for us the same importance. We wanna go there with all we have, and that's what we have to show tomorrow night.
A thoroughly decent man, a top football coach, Jurgen Klopp, is doing the wise thing, the decent thing, being very respectful to his opponents. Simon Evans, if I may start with you in this segment. Jurgen Klopp has his team at the very top of their game. They're playing better than at any other stage in his reign at Anfield. And their position in world football is down to the brilliance of the players that they have individually. But much of the credit, Simon, you would agree, has to go to the German.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we've been talking a lot recently about Manchester United and the rebuild that the club is planning, and Ralph Rangnick comparing it to when Klopp took over Liverpool. And you go back and look at what that Liverpool team was like that Klopp took over. Wasn't a bad side, but it was in that sort of position, 7th, 8th in the league, and he's absolutely transformed this club since he's been here. The tactics that he brought in at the start, he didn't have the players to carry them out properly, but he found the right players. The club's recruitment was good with him, and he plays this kind of high-energy football, which I think a lot of people, even people who might be rooting against Liverpool tonight, as you mentioned, they enjoy watching that kind of football because it's full of energy, it's full of action, and there's always something going on when Liverpool play.
Juan, the fact is that none of these players, Liverpool players, can be complacent going into this game because their manager isn't transmitting any complacent energy. Their manager isn't behaving as if it's a small team that they're playing against. And on that score, Juan Arango, I'm suggesting to you, Jurgen Klopp has hit the right notes by communicating this message of respect to the players, respect for the opponent, and respect for what they can potentially do to you.
And respect for their convictions, and respect for their style of play, and respect for the fans too. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. Liverpool, I mean, they might have, I mean, the pre-Klopp era might have not been the most competitive or effective from a tactic standpoint, but what Klopp's been able to develop, Liverpool's win FC. They have to win every week, not only in Champions League, but I mean, right now they face a situation where they have to go every single game and come in and win. They're expected. They're not expected for anything less than winning right now, and that's been in part because of the mentality that Jurgen Klopp has been able to implement. And not only that, his ability to also keep them very grounded into what they're able to do in who they are as a group and as individuals coming into these types of matches. I haven't seen a match I can say pretty much in the entire, and Simon might be able to correct me, in this entire era with Klopp that you've come in and said, oh, you know, Liverpool underestimated X or Y team. I haven't really seen that. I haven't gotten that impression with Jurgen Klopp, at least with Jurgen Klopp. So again, you see a team that understands what's in front of them, but more importantly, they have to understand what the grand prize is ahead of them if they're able to get past this obstacle.
Rodolphe, what do you imagine it to be like to play for a manager like Jurgen Klopp?
Looking at the interview he just did, you know, you want to play for a humble manager, which he is, and you know, you want to do your best for him, and you can see that he kept the unit really humble, and they know what they're all about, and you can see how they play. Press side, they work hard for each other, and they're not in the semi-finals by just luck. You know, they put themselves there, and you can see that they're a really, really tight unit. You know, and that's the type of manager you want at your football club.
And it's the kind of manager you'd have loved to play for you.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Simon, back at you, because he said some things Jurgen Klopp did about Divock Origi, which I was saying, oh my gosh, Klopp, you're over-egging the pudding now. But it may be strategic. He said Divock Origi was the greatest finisher at the club. He's a top man, very effusive in his praise after what Origi did in that Everton game. Another example, you feel, Simon, of strategic good management?
It's a stage of the season now where because of what fatigue and the end of the year, Liverpool look pretty good shape, I have to say, but players have been carrying notes throughout the season. You're going to need this squad. Remember a couple of years ago when Liverpool won the league, when they won the Champions League, the season before that, Origi scored 5 goals exactly at this stage in the competition against Barcelona, and then in the league against Newcastle United, goals that helped win trophies. And he's been a fringe man throughout most of his time at Liverpool. There was that curious statistic about how much he scored against Everton. Great psychology from Klopp to bring him on with a record that he had against Everton, and he stayed on. But more importantly than that, he's a player who has come off the bench and scored vital goals with crucial moments in the big competition.
Yeah, and Juan, this last point on Klopp. Last year, many pundits criticized Pep Guardiola for how he had used Raheem Sterling in the build-up to the Champions League final. He wasn't getting much game time, and you felt as if he wasn't an important part of the core group. Then all of a sudden, we saw Raheem Sterling start against Man City. If you contrast what Klopp is doing with Origi, he's making him feel as if he's the tallest man in the world. He's the greatest striker in the world. In the event that he needs him in this big game, Juan, that he's primed to deliver a good performance.
And that's how sometimes you need to truly treat some players, because sometimes you need to keep a short leash. Sometimes you need to be able to control them a little bit more. Sometimes you need to pat them on the back. Sometimes you don't. But it's great what Jurgen Klopp's been able to do. And he's able to use him at a very key moment, because let's keep in mind that Everton match was very crucial for Liverpool's aspirations outside of the Champions League, keeping pace with Manchester City and trying to keep that hope of a quadruple alive. So you need to have all hands on deck, and if it means coddling, if it means to try and make your man the biggest man in the world, then so be it. And if there's one good thing that Jurgen Klopp has been able to do throughout his career, is try and maximize players in different ways, and that's one of them.
Simon, before it gets more difficult for us to hear you, let me ask you this last one. Mo Salah, in his last 10 games for Liverpool in all competitions, has only scored 3 goals. 2 of those came against a Manchester United team that both yourself and Juan Arango could score against. Should the Liverpool fans be worried going into this, the business end of the Champions League season?
No, I don't think so at all, because he's still doing everything else. He's still causing problems for defences, running at them, getting them on the back foot, creating things. He's playing up front tonight with Diaz rather than Jota, which is an interesting choice, but Diaz has been a real impact player, buzzing around as well. So when you've got Mane now playing as the 9 down the middle, there's less pressure on Salah, I think, to be scoring, because he causes so much problems for defences that they're distracted by him. He runs at them, he's very direct. He will score goals as well, but with Mane in the middle and Diaz buzzing around as well, I wouldn't be concerned at all about Liverpool's firepower tonight, whether Salah scores or not.
Rodolphe, when you have a man like Salah in your team, and his record is as awesome as he is, but the last 10 games, he hasn't quite been doing it. What does the squad do? Do you as captain, and you have your experience from being Reggae Boys captain and captain in other places, do you as captain have a quiet word with your striker, or do you just leave him alone to find back his groove?
I think the quality that he possesses, you have to leave him alone. He knows when he's not up there, you know, he knows what he should do, and he knows what he can do. So you just leave him alone. Every game is different. You know, and to bench him, I don't think it's the right thing to do. You just let him go express himself and play, and maybe tonight he score a trick, you never know. That's how it goes with these type of, you know, first-class players.
Yeah. Juan, the characteristics that Mo Salah has built his Liverpool career on, and how Villarreal played defensively, do you expect the Egyptian to make hay this evening against this Villarreal team?
I don't, but that doesn't mean that he's not going to be effective. Now, if there's one thing that we've seen with Mo Salah, what he's been able to do is also kind of take some space, take some of that pressure on top of himself, and be able to free up some of his teammates so they can also excel. I mean, we've seen that Luis Diaz, Sadio Mane, many others have been able to come through. And if he's able to come in that kind of role where, okay, fine, I end up being the sacrificial lamb, if you will, and taking up the pressure and doing all the dirty work and being able to do that, I think that might be just as effective for his teammates as being able to score 2 or 3 goals. I know that sounds crazy, but when you have a team that drops back, that reduces spaces, that ends up really closing angles off for you to be able to create passes in the middle, if you have someone in the middle that can be that disruptor, that can be the one that moves the defender and offer enough space for someone else to make a run or some type of cut inside, and therefore they end up being free, I think that's just as valuable in these types of matches.
Yeah, Simon, I hope you still can hear us. What do you think has prompted Klopp to go with Luis Diaz rather than Diogo Jota up front?
Just been in such great form. You know, I think he's such a live wire. It's incredible, really, for a player to come into a club in January, in the middle of the season, to a completely new team, completely new league, completely new environment, new coach, everything, and just hit the ground running the way he has. And he's such an inventive player. His movement is excellent, and I just think look, Jota's an outstanding player. They've got an abundance of choices in their attack, Liverpool. But I like this selection because I think at this level in the Champions League, when you're up against a defence with players of the quality of Pau Torres there and so on, a very well-organised back line that Henry has put together, I think you need that a little bit extra. And of course, he's got Jota. We've done 5 substitutes in this tournament. So, you know, Jota can come off the bench. There's plenty of options, but this will be a little bit of a surprise. Maybe Henry wouldn't have been expecting this.
Yeah, let's talk Villarreal now, Rodolphe, because their blueprint is clear. They are very strong defensively, but they are not a park-the-bus team. People mistake that. There's a difference, yeah? They know what their strengths are. They don't try to be anybody else. But is there the temptation, you believe, for Unai Emery in this game, Rodolphe, to try to lock down the shop from early and try to make it difficult for Liverpool to score, knowing that there is a second leg to be played in Spain? Or do you expect them to approach it as they did the Juventus tie and the Bayern Munich tie?
I think they will approach it the same way they have been doing. You know, they know what they're good at. You know, they like to stay low and they have a quick transition play and they have the players to do it. You know, like Dan Juma up front, quick, you know, skillful, and they have Ocelso right behind him with good passes. So they know what they're all about, and it's a game like this. It's gonna be a bit difficult for Liverpool in terms of, you know, Liverpool front three like the space to run behind. So when they meet a team that's really compact, I think it will create a bit of problem for them. But we're looking forward to it, and I hope we can see a very good game tonight.
So just before I move it on from you, you're saying you don't expect Unai Emery at all to be tempted to be even more expansive than usual. He's still going to be compact and try to do damage in those transitions, those counter-attacking plays.
Yes, I think that's their DNA and they will keep it.
Yeah. Juan Arango, Villarreal, the blueprint has worked brilliantly well so far. Let's talk about Dan Juma, because a lot of the footballing world is now only talking about him, but they're saying, well, this guy was at Bournemouth and yeah, he didn't play for them in the Premier League. In the Championship, he was very good for them. But really, many people started taking notice of him when he destroyed Diogo Dalot for Manchester United in one of those games that they played in the Europa League, and people have said, well, he looks to be some player, but he's gone up several levels in recent months. Juan Arango, is he X factor number one or X factor uno for the Villarreal team?
Maybe X factor 2. I mean, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I mean, you have to start looking elsewhere as well. I mean, if you start looking at Samuel Chukwueze, he might be an option. You start looking at Coquelin out wide as well. Those are the players that break out for you. Those are the players that offer that transition opportunity for Villarreal. But also you start looking in the middle and Dani Parejo. How much time and space is he going to have on the ball? Usually with Liverpool, you don't have much. But if he's able to get the ball in certain sectors of the pitch and send those long balls to those players, now what ends up happening with Liverpool, especially when they're pressing forward and trying to really close the game down a little bit more. Yeah, is it going to be an option? Yes, he is going to be an option. But you start looking at other players that can really offer some true options for Unai Emery. And like you said, they're a team that's very solid defensively, but they're not a park the bus type of team because they can burn you. And once they go 1-0 up, they're a very tough nut to crack.
Simon, when someone looks at this Villarreal team, they see Francis Coquelin, who many feel his career would have died after he left Arsenal. Lo Celso didn't quite impress at Tottenham Hotspur. Etienne Capoue flickered intermittently for Spurs and for Watford. They are part of this very strong Villarreal team. It's easy, Simon, to look at the individuals in the Villarreal team and underestimate them.
If you look through the Villarreal squad, it's probably half a dozen players who played in the Premier League and probably didn't reach the levels that they'd hoped for. But they've come together in a really, really impressive unit here. And then, as a matter of fact, that includes the coach, Unai Emery, who you know, left Arsenal after a lot of disappointments and a lot of criticism there, and has answered every single one of his critics by what he's done at Villarreal. There was no way his Arsenal team were going to get to the semi-final of the Champions League. He's gone to Villarreal, and his achievements have been fantastic. So he's made a team of rejects, if you like, players not wanted by bigger clubs, into a really effective unit, and that's a sign of a great coach.
Absolutely so, as the refrain of "You'll Never Walk Alone" belts out inside the stadium at Anfield. Let's look at the starting lineup for Liverpool. The 11 reads Alisson, Fabinho, Van Dijk, Konate, who's been outstanding, especially on the offensive end. Thiago gets the start. Mane, Salah, Jordan Henderson, Luis Diaz, the man from Scotland, Robertson, and Trent Alexander-Arnold. Let's just go right into the Villarreal starting 11 then. because time is upon us. We have to honor our broadcasters' wishes and go. Rui, Albiol, Pau Torres, Danny Parejo, Etienne Capu, Juan Foyth, Chukwueze, Estupinho, Danjuma, Lo Celso, and Francis Coquelin. No surprises in the starting 11s. Gentlemen, we only have time for the predictions. Juan, call it for me this first leg.
1 Liverpool.
Simon, what do we say?
1-0 to Liverpool.
Thank you. Rodolph?
2-1 Liverpool.
2-1 Liverpool. All right, we'll see who we have available at halftime. We hope that the viewers enjoy the first half of Champions League semi-final football.
You've just watched the UEFA Champions League pre-game show on SportsMax, sponsored by Heineken.
We have all endured the wait for 2 years.
I know you're feeling pain.
Now, our time is here for the masquerade, the sweet sounds of steel, a showcase of Kaiso and energy like no other at Sokomonar. St. Vincent and the Grenadines Carnival 2022, June 24th to July 5th. Vincy Mass, take nice again.
Tingo nice again. When I'm with my friends, we go party and never stop till we end up all in again.
This match is brought to you by MasterCard Europe and Pepsi, UEFA Champions League official sponsors.
The atmosphere is raucous, expectant. The 3,000 or so Villarreal supporters who've travelled across have been doing their best to make themselves heard. They stood and held their scarves aloft and joined in with the famous Liverpool anthem, "You'll Never Walk Alone," which has just been booming out around the stadium. And Alan Smith, the former Arsenal and England striker, is alongside me. Alan, always a spectacle, and on nights like these, just that little bit more to it as well.
Yes, quite. It's always an occasion to savour. No matter how many times as a player you've walked out there, it's still a special, special night. The fans make it that way. It's going to be fascinating to see how the visitors attack this challenge, how they approach the next 90 minutes.
Unlike last night, when it was finally balanced pre-match, and still is, between Manchester City and Real Madrid, we do have a clear favourite tonight. Most are expecting Liverpool to take a first leg lead to Spain in 6 nights' time. Most who aren't of the all-yellow persuasion, because look at that Villarreal support. They've not just come for a night out, they've come to see another famous result. We'll take a final look pre-match at the team lineups after this Champions League anthem. Which you could barely hear because of the din being created by both sets of supporters. What a sight, what a night. For Liverpool, 3 changes to Sunday's team that beat City rivals Everton, 1 in each outfield sector. In defence, Joel Matip replaced by Ibrahima Konate, scorer home and away against Benfica in the quarters. Captain Jordan Henderson is back in, Naby Keita is back to substitute. And January signing Luis Diaz is selected on the left of the front 3 rather than Diogo Jota. Referee and his assistants are from Poland, headed up by the man in the middle, Szymon Marciniak. who is as tough as he looks, doesn't stand for any nonsense on the field. He will officiate with a firm hand. Played that way as well. He's taken that almost unique route of professional player to referee. Apparently in his playing days with Wisła Płock, he was a fiery midfielder. Villarreal are rested after a free weekend, but the break hasn't been enough for arguably their biggest star, Gerard Moreno, to recover from a hamstring strain. His absence, the only difference from the 1-1 draw at Bayern Munich that got them here. Samuel Chukwueze came on in that game and scored the crucial goal and comes in for Moreno tonight. 5 of the team have English Premier League experience. Juan Foyth, Francis Coquelin, Etienne Capoue, Giovanni Lo Celso and Arnaud Danjuma, the Yellow Submarines' top scorer with 16 goals this season. 6 of